Hi everyone, this is Kareem, the voice of Simon Fairchild from the Magnus Archives. And today I want to talk to you about Boost Mobile. Some things quietly drain you, like an expensive phone bill trapping your money month after month. Here's a quick money tip. Stop paying a carrier tax. When you bring your own phone and switch to Boost Mobile's $25 unlimited forever plan, you can unlock up to $600 in savings. That's money that belongs in your life, not trapped in a phone bill. Reclaim those savings for something you're actually into. An EMF meter, a thermal camera, or whatever strange corner of the universe you're currently exploring. Visit boostmobile.com to unlock your savings and take back control. After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers pay $25 per month as long as they remain active on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan. Boost Mobile January 2026 survey comparing average annual payments of AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile customers to 12 months on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan. For full offer details, visit boostmobile.com.
Hey, this is Adam Grant, host of TED's podcast, Rethinking with Adam Grant. Have you heard of Bill? It's the intelligent finance platform that uses AI to help you avoid costly errors and optimize cash flow. In fact, Bill reports that over 90 of the top 100 U.S. accounting firms trust them to manage, move, and maximize money, proven by over $1 trillion in secure transactions. Eliminate the friction and start scaling with the proven choice. Visit Bill.com/proven to talk with an expert about automating your business finances and get a $250 gift card as a thank you. That's Bill.com/proven. Terms and conditions apply. See offer page for details.
Hey y'all, it's Kelly Clarkson with Wayfair, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. Picture this. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app when you spot it. A brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's room of choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hey y'all, it's Kelly Clarkson with Wayfair, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. Picture this. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app when you spot it. A brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's room of choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hey, this is Adam Grant, host of TED's podcast, Rethinking with Adam Grant. Let me share with you why smart finance leaders turn to Bill. They know that clarity isn't just helpful, it's strategic. As the intelligent finance platform, Bill uses AI to automate the busy work for nearly 500,000 businesses so they can focus on intentional growth. Eliminate the friction and start scaling with the proven choice. Visit Bill.com/proven to talk with an expert about automating your business finances and get a $250 gift card as a thank you. That's Bill.com/proven. Terms and conditions apply. See offer page for details.
Hello, I'm Sarah and welcome to the Whispering Woods After Dark. As promised, I have that other vampire story. I'll get straight into it. Are you ready for the story? A small Serbian village on the edge of an empire, nearly 3 centuries ago. The year is 1731, and the settlement of Mediva, also recorded as Meduna, stands in a remote, war-torn landscape. By day it's quiet enough. Peasants tending their cattle, soldiers guarding a frontier, but by night, a terror creeps in. Villagers huddled together after sunset, too frightened to sleep. They speak of Arnold Paole, a man who died years earlier, yet is blamed for stalking the living from beyond the grave. In the dark, some of the villagers swear they can hear something scratching at the doors or feel a weight pressing on their chest. one young woman's blood-curdling scream pierces the midnight air, and when people rush to her, she gasps that a dead man, Arnold, attacked her in her sleep. Within days, she is dead. One by one, neighbours die under mysterious circumstances, fueling a panic that a vampire is on the loose. This is no gothic fairy tale. Arnold Paole's case is a documented incident from the early 18th century, investigated by authorities and debated across Europe. Arnold Paole, also written as Arnold Pavel, was, by most accounts, a soldier and Hajduk, a kind of guerrilla fighter or militiaman who lived in the early 1700s. He appeared in the village of Medveda in the 1720s, a time when this region had just recently come under Austrian Habsburg rule after centuries under the Ottoman Turks. The borderlands were rugged and lawless. War and plague had left the area depopulated and rife with superstition. Paole himself had supposedly spent time in Turkish Serbia, possibly the province of Kosovo, referred to as Kosovo in some reports, before settling in Medveda. What he experienced there would haunt him for the rest of his short life. According to law, later recounted to officials, Arnold Paole claimed he'd been attacked by a vampire while he was away in Turkish lands. We don't know exactly what form this attack took, whether it was a nocturnal assault or some encounter on a lonely road, but it left him deeply shaken. Fearing he had been troubled by a vampire, Arnold turned to folk remedies to protect himself. He told people that he had eaten soil from the vampire's grave and smeared himself with the vampire's blood, hoping to rid himself of the curse or infection that might follow. These were traditional countermeasures in the local folklore, born of the belief that vampirism was a contagion one could contract and also fend off with the right rituals. Arnold often spoke about the vampire encounter, almost as if confessing a dark secret or warning others of the danger lurking out there. Those who heard him might have dismissed it as a wild tale. After all, the word vampire, vampir in Serbian, was only just entering Western European languages around that time. But on the Balkan frontier, such stories were not taken lightly. They were part of an older, familiar folklore under Ottoman influence, where tales of the restless dead preying on the living were accepted as reality. In life, Arnold Paole feared the dead. In death, he supposedly became one of them. Sometime around 1726, some sources say late 1725 or 1727, Arnold Paole died unexpectedly. The cause was not some curse, but a mundane accident. He fell off a hay wagon and broke his neck, ending his life abruptly. He was buried in the village graveyard. For a while, Medveda was peaceful again, but that peace did not last. About 20 to 30 days after Arnold's burial, reports began to circulate. Several villagers claimed Arnold had come back, not in spirit, but in solid form, and attacked them at night. They described being harassed or plagued by the dead man, and their health quickly took a turn for the worse. In total, 4 people who made these accusations died in short order, one after the other. The community was thrown into panic. To them it seemed clear that Arnold was to blame. He had risen from the grave to exact death on his neighbours, just as he had feared a vampire would do to him. The villagers decided they had to act before things got worse. They recalled old advice and their own experiences under Ottoman rule. If you suspect a vampire, you do not leave its corpse in peace. Led by the local Hadnak, a village elder or military official, who had apparently seen similar horrors before, they resolved to exhume Arnold's body and put an end to the evil. So 40 days after Arnold's funeral, roughly the end of 1726, a group of anxious villagers crept to the graveyard with shovels, stakes and torches. What they found once they dug up Arnold's coffin only heightened their terror. By all accounts, Arnold's corpse looked strangely fresh, far from a withered, decaying cadaver. His body was intact and undecayed, as if he were merely sleeping. Witnesses said fresh blood coated his face, blood trickled from his eyes, nose, mouth and ears, soaking into his burial shroud and even the coffin wood. The villagers also noticed that Arnold's skin and nails had a new, healthy look. The old skin and nails had sloughed off, and new nails had grown in their place. Even his beard and hair seemed to have grown. His cheeks were ruddy rather than sunken. To their eyes, this was incontrovertible evidence that Arnold was a vampire, a dead body plump with new blood, preserved from decay by an unholy force. At this sight, the villagers did what their folklore demanded. They dragged the corpse from the coffin and prepared to execute the vampire. The sharp wooden stake was driven through Arnold Paole's chest and heart. As the iron-tipped stake pierced him, onlookers reported a frightful shriek or groan from the corpse, and more blood gushed forth. Finally, to ensure he never rose again, Arnold's body was decapitated and burned to ashes. The remains were returned to the grave, now just a pit of scorched bone and stake-splintered flesh. The village didn't stop there. They remembered another rule. Anyone killed by a vampire could themselves turn into a vampire after death. Arnold had allegedly murdered 4 people in his brief rampage, and those victims had died recently. The villagers exhumed those 4 corpses as well. The accounts claim these bodies also showed signs of vampirism, fresh blood and little decay, though details are sparse. Taking no chances, the villagers staked, decapitated, and burned the 4 purported victims too. By the end of that day, 5 graves had been reduced to ashen pits. The vampire and his brood were, hopefully, destroyed. For the time being, the terror subsided, the deaths stopped. Medveda went back to its routine, and Arnold Paole's curse had been lifted. Life moved on. The episode of 1726 became a dark local memory. Villagers might have recounted how Arnold had also been seen sucking the blood of cattle before his grave was opened, and how anyone who ate the meat of those animals might be doomed as well. By executing Arnold and his victims, the people of Medveda believed they had contained the outbreak. They had, in their minds, saved their village from a growing legion of the undead. For about 5 years, nothing unusual happened in Medveda, at least nothing attributed to vampires. But as the winter of 1731 set in, the fear that had once gripped the village came roaring back. In late 1731 and early 1732, villagers began to sicken and die under strange circumstances. And once again, whispers of vampires filled the air. By the middle of December 1731, local reports claimed that at least 13 people had died in the past 6 weeks, all from mysterious causes. The death toll would eventually be cited as 17 people of all ages by January 1732, though accounts vary on the exact number. What made these deaths alarming wasn't just the count, but the manner. Many victims had been healthy or even perfectly fine just days before. Some died after only 2 or 3 days of a sudden illness, with symptoms that included fever, chest pain, and exhaustion. Others languished a bit longer, but the pattern was unlike any ordinary sickness. A few even died without any clear illness at all, as if life simply drained out of them unexpectedly. The villagers were terrified. To them, it felt like a repeat of the Arnold Paole affair, or worse, a continuation of it. They remembered that some who had eaten meat from Arnold's vampirized cattle years ago might have been tainted. Now it seemed that the vampiric infection had resurfaced, picking off the young and old alike. 2 names in particular came up, Milica and Stanna. Milica was an older woman, 50 or 60 years old, sources differ, who, it was said, had once eaten the flesh of a sheep killed by vampires before she ever moved to Medveda. Stanna was a 20-year-old woman who admitted that in her previous home under Ottoman rule, she had smeared herself with vampire blood as protection during a vampire scare. Local folklore held that both these practices, eating animals killed by vampires and smearing vampire blood, would doom a person to become a vampire after death. Sure enough, Milica and Stanna were among the first to die in this new wave, seemingly validating everyone's worst fears. But the most chilling incident involved a young woman named Stanoika, also recorded as Stanojka or Stanoska. Stanoika was the daughter-in-law of a hijack, and by all accounts, she was in good health until one night in mid-1731. That night, after going to bed as usual, she was jolted awake around midnight by something horrifying. She let out a terrible scream that brought her family running. Trembling and distraught, Stanoika gasped out that she had been attacked in her sleep by a vampire. Specifically, she claimed the assailant was Miloja's son, a boy from the village who had died and been buried about 9 weeks prior. Stanoika said the dead boy's ghost throttled her, choked her during her sleep, and she awoke in pain and terror. On her neck, there was reportedly a dark bruise, like the mark of a hand or finger pressed into her skin. From that moment, Stanoika's health collapsed. She was overcome by weakness and a burning pain in her chest, just as she'd described after the nocturnal attack. Her condition worsened rapidly over the next 3 days, despite any remedies the villagers tried. By the 3rd day, Stanoika was dead. Her last words had essentially named a dead person as her murderer, a detail that spread through Medveda. If anyone had doubted the vampire theory, Stanoika's fate erased those doubts. The villagers now pointed to Miloja's deceased son, and by extension, perhaps Arnold's lingering curse, as the cause of the whole outbreak. Vampirism had returned to Medveda, and it was claiming victims one by one. The community found itself caught in a nightmare repeating itself. Nightly watches became commonplace. Families huddled together, some staying awake till dawn with whatever crude weapons or talismans they believed might ward off the undead. Fear gnawed at everyone. People spoke of seeing shadowy figures or red-eyed shapes in the darkness. What is certain is that the villagers felt helpless. They had already slain Arnold and his known victims years ago. How could the evil still be at work? Was another vampire loose? Or had Arnold's curse spread through the bloodline of those animals and people he tainted, lying dormant until now? By late 1731, the situation was dire enough that the villagers did something unprecedented. They appealed to the imperial authorities for help. Medveda, remember, was under the administration of the Austrian Empire at this time, specifically part of the military frontier zone, established after the Habsburgs took northern Serbia from the Ottomans. The local military governor, named Schneesner, received the villagers' reports of unexplained deaths and their dire warning. If the vampires are not dealt with, we will abandon the village. For Schneesner, this was not just superstition, it was a real problem. An exodus from Mediva would leave a gap in the frontier defence and a loss of taxpayers and soldiers. He needed to calm the situation, and quickly. Colonel Schneesner lightly suspected that an epidemic disease might be the real culprit. Europe was no stranger to plagues, and on the frontier, any cluster of mysterious deaths raised red flags. With villagers describing fevers and quick deaths, you might think of the plague or a lethal fever like typhus. So on December the 12th, 1731, Schneesner dispatched a physician named Johann Friedrich Glazier to Medveda. Glazier was the imperial contagions medicus, essentially an infectious disease expert stationed in a nearby town. His mission was to investigate these deaths and see if there was a plague or other contagion brewing. Dr. Glazier arrived expecting to find a natural explanation, like sickness or poisoning, but he quickly found himself in a clash between science and faith belief. Glazier examined the living villagers and the environment and found no signs of an epidemic. The people were generally poor and malnourished. Glazier noted that many were weakened by Eastern Orthodox fasting practices and scant food over the harsh winter. Malnutrition could certainly make illnesses worse, but malnutrition alone doesn't cause a dozen people to keel over in weeks, and Glazier couldn't identify any pathogen at work. While the doctor scratched his head, the villagers stood firm in their conviction. It was vampires doing this. They told Glazier flat out that the deaths would continue until the vampires were destroyed. He tried to reason with them, but to no avail. The community even threatened to abandon Medveda entirely if the authorities refused to act. Glazier was one man, and he realised that if he didn't at least acknowledge their belief, the situation might spiral. So Dr. Glazier made a fateful decision. He agreed to assist in exhuming some of the recent victims, hoping to find a natural cause of death, or at least to pacify the villagers. In mid-December 1731, Glazier and some locals opened up about 10 graves of those who had died during the recent outbreak. What he saw left him shaken. Some bodies, those likely dead the longest, showed normal decay, but many of the corpses looked disturbingly well preserved. They were bloated and unnaturally plump, with swollen limbs and torsos. On there it was again, dark blood-like fluid staining their mouths and noses. Glacier, a man familiar with death from battlefields, knew what ordinary decay looked like. This was not ordinary in his experience. We don't have Glazier's exact words on the scene, but his official report conveys his surprise. He admitted that the condition of these bodies made it impossible to persuade the villagers that no vampires were present. Faced with this inexplicable evidence and a mob of frightened locals, he recommended that the authorities permit the people to execute the suspected vampires. Glacier's report went up the chain of command to Belgrade, where the regional imperial administration took things to the next level. The idea of vampires causing unrest and possibly disease on the military frontier alarmed the authorities enough that they decided to mount a full-scale investigation. They weren't going to rely on one doctor's letters. They wanted a thorough on-site inquiry with multiple witnesses. So, in January 1732, the Austrian Supreme Command sent a commission of officers and army surgeons to Medveda. The commission arrived on January the 7th. It was led by Johann Fluckinger, a regimental field surgeon, and included 2 senior officers, Lieutenant Colonel Butner and J.H. von Lindefels, along with 2 other military surgeons, Messenger Siegel and Baumgarten. These men were seasoned by war and presumably by knowledge of battlefield injuries and deaths. Over the next few days, the Imperial Commission would systematically unearth the truth, or what appeared to be the truth, in the Medveda graveyard. Their findings would be compiled into a detailed report known by its Latin title, Visum et Repertum, Seen and Discovered, dated January the 26th, 1732. This document, signed by 5 military men, would soon travel across Europe. The Austrian Commission wasted no time. With the authority of Habsburg Crown behind them, they ordered the graves of the recently deceased to be opened in their presence. By now, a total of 17 villagers were believed to have died in the second outbreak, so presumably those were the graves they targeted. 17 coffins were pried from the cold earth. One by one, they lifted the lids and inspected each corpse. Fluckinger approached this task with clinical precision. He and the other surgeons noted their observations corpse by corpse. Later, they would write the report like a morbid checklist of anatomy. According to the Visum et Repertum, out of those 17 bodies, 5 had decomposed normally, showing the expected decay for their time in the ground. It was the other 12 corpses that stunned everyone. Fluckinger reported that these 12 were quite complete and undecayed, as if protected from rot. Despite having been in the ground for weeks or even months, they looked bizarrely fresh. The surgeons described red and vivid skin tone on some of them, an almost lifelike flush instead of a pallid corpse. When they made incisions for an autopsy, they found the chest cavities filled with liquid blood that had not coagulated, as you would expect after death. The internal organs, heart, lungs, liver, appeared, in their words, as healthy as those of a living person. When it came to the case of Stanwyka, the young woman who had died 18 days earlier after claiming a vampire attacked her, when the surgeons examined her body, they found she was also in a remarkably reserved state. Her complexion was described as ruddy and lifelike. Disturbingly, they found a blue-coloured bruise on her neck, just under the right ear, the distinct mark of a finger. This seemed to perfectly match Stanoika's story of being strangled by the undead. As they pulled her from her coffin, a quantity of fresh blood trickled from her nose. Inside her chest, more uncoagulated blood. Her organs were fresh, her tendons and nails, all as if still alive. Fluckinger's team noted other anomalies in these 12 suspect corpses. In several cases, the old skin on the hands and feet had peeled away, taking the old fingernails with it, but new skin and nails had grown underneath. The surgeons also recorded that some corpses looked like new hair or beard growth was present, and that blood was found in the heart and arteries when they cut them open. After thoroughly documenting these findings, the commission moved to the next phase, elimination of the threat. With the evidence before their eyes, they effectively concurred with the villagers that these were indeed vampires. The report reads in part like a macabre medical exam, but it concludes with decisive action. Under the watch of Fluckinger and the officers, they had the remaining steps carried out. The suspected vampires were executed in the traditional way. Local Roma gypsies from the area were brought in as executioners, a role they often played in such cases by custom. They proceeded to stake each of the 12 bodies through the heart, if the autopsy hadn't already done so, then decapitate them. Piles of wood were assembled and mutilated corpses were burned to ashes on pyres in the graveyard. The charred remains were gathered and scattered into the nearby West Morava River, ensuring nothing was left for the vampire to regenerate from. As for the 5 bodies that were decomposed, and thus presumed innocent, those were simply reburied and left in peace. By the end of this grim exhumation ritual, the vampire epidemic of Medveda was declared over. The Visum et Repertum, essentially the Commission's formal report, was signed on January the 26th, 1732 in Belgrade, bearing the signatures of Fluckinger, the other 2 surgeons, and the 2 officers. This document, written in German, meticulously listed the investigation's findings and the actions taken. It was effectively a legal and medical attestation that vampires had been found and destroyed, and that everything was done in proper order with witnesses. The case was officially closed as far as the Austrian authorities were concerned.
Hey, this is Adam Grant, host of TED's podcast, Rethinking with Adam Grant. Let me share with you why smart finance leaders turn to Bill. They know that clarity isn't just helpful, it's strategic. As the intelligent finance platform, Bill uses AI to automate the busy work for nearly 500,000 businesses so they can focus on intentional growth. Eliminate the friction and start scaling with the proven choice. Visit Bill.com/proven to talk with an expert about automating your business finances and get a $250 gift card as a thank you. That's Bill.com/proven. Terms and conditions apply. See offer page for details.
Hey y'all, it's Kelly Clarkson with Wayfair, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. Picture this. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app when you spot it. A brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's room of choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit Wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
How fascinating. I love a good vampire story. I do actually romanticize vampires. And if you've watched Sinners, I just want to be part of that, but I want to be like one of the ones that are left at the end and they come in. I won't say too much, just in case people haven't seen it yet. I could do that, I'm sure, but as previously stated numerous times, I'm going to take everybody with me. Whether they want me to or not, my family are coming. And if any of you guys fancy it, you can come too. Well, that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you again on Tuesday. Take care, everyone.
Hey, this is Paige DeSorbo from Giggly Squad, and today I want to talk to you about Boost Mobile. Quick question, why are we letting our phone bills bully us? Here's a money tip. Stop paying a carrier tax. When you bring your own phone and switch to Boost Mobile's $25 unlimited forever plan, you can unlock up to $600 in savings. That's real-life money, not money trapped in a pricey phone bill. $600 is a trip, a shopping spree, or paying something off. Your money belongs in your life. You get unlimited data, talk, and text for $25 a month with no contracts and no minimum line requirement. Your phone, your rules. Head to boostmobile.com to switch today and unlock the savings you actually deserve. After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience lower speed. Customers pay $25 per month while active on Boost Mobile Unlimited plan. Savings claim based on a January 2026 Boost Mobile survey comparing average annual payments of major carrier customers to 12 months on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan. Visit boostmobile.com for details.
Hey y'all, it's Kelly Clarkson with Wayfair, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. Picture this. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app when you spot it. A brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's room of choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hey, this is Adam Grant, host of TED's podcast, Rethinking with Adam Grant. Have you heard of Bill? It's the intelligent finance platform that uses AI to help you avoid costly errors and optimize cash flow. In fact, Bill reports that over 90 of the top 100 US accounting firms trust them to manage, move, and maximize money, proven by over $1 trillion in secure transactions. Eliminate the friction and start scaling with the proven choice. Visit bill.com/proven to talk with an expert about automating your business finances and get a $250 gift card as a thank you. That's bill.com/proven. Terms and conditions apply. See offer page for details.
The stories told on the Whispering Woods are inspired by historical records, witness reports, and local folklore. While every effort is made to research and represent events accurately, some details, names, and locations may differ from official accounts or have been changed out of respect for those involved. These episodes are created for storytelling and entertainment purposes and should not be considered definitive fact or investigative journalism.